The Eggshell Plaintiff rule states simply that the defendant takes the plaintiff as the defendant finds the plaintiff. The rule means that a defendant can be held liable for all of a plaintiff's injuries that proximately resulted from the defendant's conduct, even if the defendant did not intend for all those injuries to occur. So in Wisconsin, in the 19th century, when George Putney kicked Andrew Vosburgh in the schoolhouse, Putney could be held liable for all the injuries that Andrew Vosburgh suffered, including nearly dying from infection, because George Putney kicked Vosburgh in a leg that had a pre-existing injury. And it didn't matter that George Putney intended only to prank Andrew Vosburgh and not to cause him to nearly die. The Eggshell Plaintiff rule makes sense if you think about how we test culpability in intentional torts. The plaintiff's proof only has to prove intent as far as a certain threshold that's specific to that tort. So for false imprisonment, the plaintiff has to prove the defendant intended complete confinement. For battery, the plaintiff has to prove that the defendant intended offensive contact. The rules do not require the plaintiff to prove intention as to all the consequential injuries that followed after and from that threshold physical impact. IIED is different because in IIED, a plaintiff does have to prove that the defendant had intent to cause the consequential severe emotional damage, in addition to the intent for whatever volitional interaction occurred between the defendant and the plaintiff. Therefore, there is no Eggshell Plaintiff rule for IIED because the plaintiff's proof already has to go that extra step. You can remember the Eggshell Plaintiff rule just by remembering Humpty Dumpty falling off his wall. If Alice pushed him off the wall intentionally or pulled him off the wall negligently, then she's responsible for him breaking, even if that wasn't the result she intended.